I just want to welcome everybody and thank you for joining us for Lunch with Lucy. My name is Kate Remillard and I'm on the marketing team at VHT Studios, and I'll be your kind of co-host today. We have an amazing guest, but before we get started, I just need to mention that we do have everybody muted. So if you have questions, just add them to the Q&A box on your screen. And we do encourage questions. It just makes the time a lot more, engaging and interesting. So please, any questions you have, just add them to the chat. Also, you'll want to stay till the end, sorry, because we have a special giveaway today. Normally we do DoorDash gift cards, but today's a special giveaway. We'll have 5 winners, so you must be present to win. So hang on until the end for that. And that is all I have for you. So let me introduce our host, Lucy Edwards.
So hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here with you on this lovely Wednesday afternoon. And again, so please make sure that you participate, you ask questions, and we're going to have polls. So please answer as soon as you can so we can get the results right away. And I would like to introduce our guest today, Tia Harper. So hello, Tia, how are you?
I am wonderful.
And Tia is the owner of Tia Harper Consulting, and social media is one of her most important directions, right? And projects that you take care of. So let's get started. I would like to start with, and then we're going to start with polls as well. Why is it important to have social media presence?
You know, I think that goes back to anything you do in marketing. It's important to, to grow your business, to get new leads. And when I think of social media specifically, I think of it kind of as 2 ways, as far as how you get those leads. So one is taking, cold leads and really warming them up. So if you think of building that know, like, and trust with people, right? That's one of the best things you can do on social media is by putting yourself out there consistently for people to get to know who you are, what it's like to work with you, maybe, what they have in common with you, so they feel like they really know you. So you do that, you do it consistently, and you become top of mind so that when it is time for them to buy or sell a house, they think of you because they've been seeing you over time on social media. They feel like they know you, they like you, they trust you. So that's really one of, the first ways. And of course it takes time. But the second one is really that idea of like social proof. So this is more thinking of your warm audience. And so this might be someone, maybe they're saying, hey, I'm looking to buy a house. Do you know a realtor? And they say, yeah, you should go check out Dawn. So you go look up Dawn on Facebook, and then you're kind of just making sure that this person seems legit. You want to work with them. So they go to your Facebook page, they read about you. Maybe they check your reviews and recommendations and see what other people are saying about you. And so it's really just validating, getting that social proof. And so usually that works really well for warm leads. And so, that's, we could go into that more, but if I were to give you the top 2 reasons, that's what I would say. And
actually, based on your answer, I have another question.
Okay.
You mentioned consistency, and I believe in consistency. At VHT Studios, we always talk about consistent marketing strategy. You have to be consistent in what you are doing. How consistent should you be with your posts, and when should you post? And should you be posting on, let's say, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook at the same time, or there is a different approach?
Yeah, a lot of questions in there, so I'll try to break it down. But I always say that I think consistency really is, it's how you define it. So yes, there are best practices per channel, and we can kind of talk through what those are. But at the end of the day, if you say, I'm going to post twice a week, then you need to, stay consistent with that and post twice a week. And maybe you're doing that into the feed. Maybe you want to show up every day in your stories. You're going to post every day in your story. So you define what consistency looks like, and that is you just do it consistently over and over and over. As far as the different channels go, they're all a little different. I think regardless, quality over quantity, right? So if you're posting on Facebook, I think it used to be like you really had to post every day just to, be able to show up in the algorithm. But now if you're posting 3 times a week, 5 times a week, that's great. If you want to post once a week and go all in on that piece of content and then boost it, that can work for you too. So it's really about creating quality content and getting it out there. So same with Instagram, 3 to 5 times a week. LinkedIn, you can go, up to 7 times a week, but I think LinkedIn, you can even post less because the algorithm is different. So even if you said, I'm going to post once a week on LinkedIn, but again, it goes back to making sure that you're not just posting to posting because like, oh, I've got to post 5 times a week or 7 times a week. You're really figuring out what content that you're going to create, and then you're going to put it out there consistently on those channels. I think the last question you asked was time, or I can't remember.
Yeah,
now.
what time of the day does it matter? Should I do it first thing in the morning? Should I do it throughout the day?
Again, I think that goes back to consistency. So, I say if you're going to post 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and maybe you're always posting at 9 a.m. There are some best practices you can look at for channels, and it's always changing of when you should be posting. But really, it's when your audience is on there, right? And so, again, it's different per channel. For Facebook, across the board, typically evening tends to be the best. 9 a.m., morning is another good time, but you want to think about your audience, right? So most people that I'm trying to reach, at least right now, they put their kids to bed. They are on their phones in the evening, right? On Facebook. LinkedIn tends to be more professional. So they're typically on there more like Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So you can think of the audience that you are trying to reach and their lifestyle. When I used to work for Realtor Association, we were playing around with times to post and email open rates. And we found, and at the time, Saturday is like not usually, if you're just looking at best practices for social media, a good time. But back then, open houses were still a big thing. And so Saturday mornings were our best time for open rates because realtors were at an open house waiting for people to show up, and they were opening those emails. So sometimes it takes a little bit of thinking about your audience and some testing. But the other thing you can do, and these are typically free within the platforms, is look at when your audience is online. So if you have a Facebook business page, if you're on Instagram, go and look at those metrics, and it'll tell you the best days of the week and the best times as far as when your audience is online. And I really think, if it's a good piece of content, it's going to get good engagement no matter when you post it, but you might as well take advantage of that and give yourself the extra help of posting during those peak times for your audience.
So we have a question real quick, Lucy and Tia. Debbie's wondering what defines quality content?
Yeah. So when I say that, I'm saying that you've taken time to really dig into like your audience and, what questions they have, so looking at your frequently asked questions is a good thing to do, but what are their pain points, and figuring out, what you should be talking about that's really going to speak to your audience to provide value, and then to maybe, create a video. So if I'm just going to say, all the way to top quality video is going to be it for a couple of reasons. One, it's going to perform in the algorithm the best. 2, it is the quickest way to create that know, like, and trust for your audience to really get to know you. If you think about it, like if you were to see a picture of me and I was giving you some tips here, that might be effective. But when you see me and hear me and, feel like, okay, you get to know who I am a little bit more, that is going to be even more effective. So creating content, your original content, whatever that looks like for you, whether that's a video or a podcast, that is in your voice. That's what I would refer to as quality content, where you've thought it out and you're not just, stealing what someone else did or just kind of posting on the fly or sharing what you had for breakfast. That's what I mean by quality content.
But it's okay to repost somebody else's post, right? If you see an interesting article, or like right now, Inman is really pushing out really cool articles. I think it's okay to reshare that information, right?
Absolutely, yes. But you don't want to just always share other people's stuff, right?
No,
so
of course
that is
not.
good to have in the mix. And that can help position you as a trusted expert in your field when you're kind of gathering information from others in your industry and then sharing it. Absolutely. And so it's fine to share that. It's not going to have, a share is typically not going to have the kind of reach as if you're just posting. And so if you're, in a hurry, you could hit the share button or share that. But what you could do that would be even more powerful is take that, do a video, and in your own words, share what's happening and maybe add your own opinion or thoughts. So that's going to be even more powerful.
Thank you. Before we go any further, let's go through the polls. I'm curious to know.
Yeah, well, we just launched a poll about what people post more typically, if it's photographs or videos. And 88% of the group said photographs and 12% videos. So I mean, just what I see too out there, I think people are still kind of getting comfortable with the video. Like, it takes a lot more kind of guts and I would say preparation to get comfortable with it. So I'm sure we'll see more of that.
And I believe, based on my experience, and when I look through my posts, video bring by far more traffic to my post. And the other day, I was actually at Ballestero Real Estate, and we were talking about it, and I showed a really cool photo, and just talking about the business, and then I had a short 5-second video of someone else's yacht that went through the roof, so it's not even my yacht, unfortunately. So my point is that I think that video brings more traffic, but what is your opinion, Tia?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said earlier, video, just the way that the algorithms are, and I think that's, I'm across the board as far as channels, they're going to just perform better. So that's already to your advantage, but then naturally they're just more engaging as well, right? I mean, because you're talking, it's you, and so definitely as far as, and I would say second is photos, right? So that's the next best thing. So if you're not there yet, that's okay. But when I think about it, I really just think, if you have a content plan and you know what you want to post, which hopefully that's where we are, that's where we're going, right? Is we're not just trying to, but we know, okay, this topic, is it a photo or is it a video? It's really just how you want to tell the story, right? Like, do you want to tell it through video talking, or do you want to post a photo and then use the caption to kind of tell the story? And I think if you think of it that way, oftentimes it could be the same thing you're talking about, and you could even repurpose it. You could do a video and then later use the photo and repurpose it. But it's really just a matter of how you want to tell the story. But absolutely, if you can, if you're not doing video, you should. And again, there's short-term video, there's long form video, so it depends on what type. But that kind of goes back to that, less is more sometimes, that like you would be better off to create one video a week than posting, 5 photos, as far as, especially when it comes to Instagram, as far as your reach and engagement on the platforms.
And I would add to that, even if you don't feel comfortable in front of the camera, it's okay. You can have a video of something and then just have your voice behind it. So you don't always have to be in front of the camera if you don't want to. But I think your voice and your thoughts and your emotions and your passion will go through just the voice in the background. So that can also be done. And we have another question. Do you recommend all social media, or consistency with 1 or 2 is better?
Absolutely. Less is more again. So I just had somebody reach out to me, a realtor actually, that she's like, I want to post on, it's 7 different channels that she wants to be on 7 days a week. And I'm like, I don't know anybody, even with a team, even with, if she were to hire me and we were to help her, that can do that well. So I definitely, it's not, maybe that is a long-term goal and you scale and get there, but I always recommend, even if you want to be on 3 or 4 channels, having your 1 or 2 that are your priority and really focusing there. And once you start posting consistently and having success, then maybe add another, or maybe you have 1 and 2 that you're really focused on and you're just kind of repurposing to the other channels. But I don't know anyone that is, spread that thin and just crushing it. Like you
Right.
really need to focus in, because what's going to do really well on Instagram is going to look different from what's going to do really well on LinkedIn. And it's not that you can't repurpose some of that content, but if you're just, creating content to spread all over, it's just not going to be near as effective.
And that was one of my questions. Would you say, Tia, that if I have a post that I would like to share, is it okay to share it on everything? And then we will come back to another question, the difference between story and the post. But so if I have something that I would like to share with everyone, can I just put it on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook at the same time with same hashtags and same photos or video?
So what I recommend is, yes, it's okay to post about that same topic, right? And even possibly, let's say you create a video, even that same video across the board, but the way you're going to post it is going to look a little bit different. And for best practices, right? Nothing to say you couldn't just do it, but if you're wanting to do it well. And so maybe I create a video, but depending on the length of the video, it may do better on different channels. And also hashtags are, definitely meant for Instagram, but they're not, near as effective on Instagram or on Facebook. And I would recommend kind of a different number for different channels and maybe even different hashtags. So what I recommend is create that video, but then when you post it, and you can even use a scheduler, but this post specifically is for Instagram. I'm going to have my hashtags in there, but I'm not going to post those hashtags to Facebook because Facebook, they don't really do anything. It looks kind of spammy. People know you've just sprayed it everywhere again, right? So I do think you can take that same piece of content and put it across different platforms. But I like to say, speak the language of the platform that you're on, right? They each are slightly different and they each have a slightly different purpose, and the language that people speak on there are different. And so that is why I think it's important to really focus in on one or two where you're honed in on. And if you want to repurpose on some of the others, that's fine. But that's how you're going to see the best results.
So, because you just spoke about hashtags, it's very important to understand hashtags. And I do believe that you shouldn't put a lot of them. I usually put 5, but I have consistent hashtags that I use everywhere, regardless what post it is, whether it's my grandson or whether I talk about my lunch with Lucy. So I have Get Real with Lucy, for example, and I use it on all my posts consistently. But what would you recommend for the audience? Should they create something that they will use it on daily basis? Number one. And number two, about hashtags, what about just a simple hashtag waterfront or hashtag luxury real estate, just because it's a luxury property and everyone else is using that, millions of people are using that hashtag?
Yeah, it's not super effective to do that. So you definitely want to use them. Absolutely. You want to use them on every post. You want to use them consistently, but you want to take time to think through, your brand, your strategy, and do some research. So it's like all things I feel like with social media, it's going to take a little bit more time up front, but then they're going to actually be effective when you use them. And you're not going to just be trying to think of them like when you post and you're just trying to come up with five hashtags, right? So I'll give you some tips as to how to come up with that list, but definitely going on to Instagram and looking. And then I like to save them. You can save them in your notes app on your phone. If you use a scheduler, you can save them in there so that you can just reuse them every time. And I do think, so you can use just up to 30. Right now, best practices are saying more like 3 to 5 is the most effective. And so I would recommend 1 or 2 with your brand that you use on every post, just like you said, right? And so that could be your tagline or something that is yours. And then for the others, I would recommend kind of breaking down half and half, looking at location, right? So like I'm in Columbia, Missouri, so Columbia Mo Homes. But again, you need to research what those are for your location. I've worked with some realtors locally, and Columbia is referred to as Como. And so a lot of them were using Como. Well, if you look up as a hashtag Como, that it doesn't anything to do with Columbia, Missouri, and so that's not effective. And so that's why you need to look and see, are those the ones that are actually best for you to be using? So looking at location specific real estate ones, and then for those other remaining 2 or 3, I like to think about your audience again, right? So who is it that you're wanting to reach? So maybe you are really wanting to work with first-time home buyers, or maybe the property that you're showing in this specific post is a home that's really appropriate for a first-time home buyer. So think about what hashtags would they possibly be using, right? Because those are the ones that are going to be like clicking on them, that you're trying to attract with your hashtags. And so that's kind of like, if you split those hashtags into a third, I would use a combination of those. The other thing, so the more kind of specific you can use, if you think of them as keywords, the better. So you said lakefront property, so big. And so if millions or billions of people are using them, they're not very likely to actually find your post when they click on it. So really that sweet spot is kind of like 1,000 to, in the thousands, like 10,000. That is, if you can kind of get that specific. And so if you're, and when I talk about doing research, if you're in Instagram and you let's say you put in lakefront properties and it has 1 million, how can you make that more specific to your location, right? And so just start putting them in there, guessing, and it will pop up and tell you how many people have used it. The other thing you could do is you could, put in lakefront property and look at what other hashtags are similar that people are using. But the end of the day, you do some research, you come up with your list, and then you save them. And then when you go to use them, you already have them there. You're not guessing. And then you can kind of start, again, testing, which is what we do with all marketing, right? If you have a post that takes off, the first thing I would do is, okay, let's go look at those hashtags. Let's use those again. Maybe we tweak 1 or 2, but we now know what tends to be working better than others, and kind of play around with it. And so I do recommend using your brand ones, as I said, consistently, and then maybe experimenting and having a different list that you're pulling from for your other ones.
So Tia, we only have a few minutes left and we have a lot of questions. So let's keep the answer shorter. I do want to go back to polls. Do we have any, because we had polls in the beginning?
Yes. So we asked, how active are you on social media? And 43% said daily, 35% said a few times per week. And there's 7 of you out there that say not active, which is...
But that's good statistics. Yeah. And what's the other poll?
Oh, there's one more. Just what social networks are you active on? And Facebook was the top at 53%, Instagram 36%, LinkedIn 9% only, and Twitter, there was 1 person here saying that they're active on Twitter.
And actually someone just asked, besides Twitter, where should you be using hashtags? Instagram. Okay, what about LinkedIn? So would you say LinkedIn is more for business?
Yes, I think, you can use hashtags. They're not going to, that's not necessarily going to make or break your post on LinkedIn. But yes, 1 or 3 on your LinkedIn post is not going to hurt you. It's only going to help you.
And how can you grow your audience and your friends organically?
It really, again, goes back to posting consistently, being authentic and showing up, again, with that original content in your voice that's really going to resonate with people. I think so often people want to kind of play it safe, and like that might be fine if you're just wanting to check the box of social media. But if you're really wanting to get engagement, you've got to show up and talk about things, that are relevant, talk about things, really provide value to your audience. So doing that consistently. But the other thing that I think so often we don't talk about and we forget about is engaging. We talk so much about how often should I be posting. If you want to grow your audience, yes, post consistently, but show up for 10 minutes a day and go engage with other people. That's going to help the algorithm. That's going to help more people see your stuff. But that's also just going to, if you think about it from just like a human nature standpoint, if someone's constantly commenting on your stuff, when you see their stuff, you're going to be more likely to share that love back, right? So doing that in a way that is intentional of who you really want to be growing that relationship with on social media.
And then one big question, the difference between personal Facebook and business Facebook. And if I would like to connect just between my business Facebook and your business Facebook, how can that be done and how effective is it?
Yeah, absolutely. I try to, especially when I'm commenting on things that are more business related, to do it from my business page. So people are more likely to see my page and go follow it. So yes, if I don't want to connect on a personal level, I can go from my business page and follow your business page. Hopefully you're going to follow me back. But you do, I really recommend having a Facebook page. It's getting, harder as a business page to have your stuff be seen. Absolutely. If I post the same thing, on my business page and over on Instagram, it's typically going to have better organic reach over on Instagram, but I still recommend having it so that you can start to grow an audience who's not necessarily your friend. You can also do things like use those metrics, boost posts, run ads, so it's important to have a separate place and to do business over there. Yes, you're going to see more engagement and reach on your personal stuff, but a lot of your friends don't necessarily want to see every house that you're listing, right? So you do that over on your business page. And then to really make that work, maybe once a week, you're sharing a post from your business page over to your personal page and inviting people to come follow your page, to learn more, to see more. That way, though, they get to choose if they want to see all that stuff and they want to learn more about your business, and you're not taking advantage of, that friend list. And you can keep that more personal as well.
So quick question about LinkedIn, for example, or Facebook, it doesn't matter. Let's say I have 5,000 friends, and it doesn't really mean that I'm going to see 5,000 posts a day if they post daily. Which posts are coming up, which post I should be engaged with?
Yeah, it all depends on the algorithm, right? So if someone posts something, let's just take Facebook, for example, they're going to see how much engagement that post is getting within the first few seconds or minutes. And if it's getting a lot, they're going to show it to more and more people. It's going to determine who sees it based on past, interaction. So if it's saying, oh, you liked it and your friend liked a similar post, now we're going to show it to them. So what they think people want to see is basically how they're determining that. And so, I mentioned the algorithm earlier. If you are intentionally getting on there every day and, engaging with five to 10 people, those people then are going to be more likely to see your content when you post. So a really quick, easy, free tip that you can do is before you post, you can get on there and spend 5 to 10 minutes priming your post. And then when you post, people are going to be more likely to see it. And then on the other end, you want to hang around for a few minutes to engage in the comments. So if people are commenting, you can reply back. That's only going to help more and more people see your post, because again, Facebook says, oh, look, it's getting all these comments. Let's show this post to more people. And so that's a really easy way to have more organic reach and engagement.
So does the same audience see your Facebook business page as your personal, and many people on personal are not on business page?
Yeah, so if you post to your business page, the people that are going to see it are the people that are following your business page. If you post to your personal page, the people that are going to see it are your friends. So that's where it's nice from, like I said, it kind of depends on how often you're posting, but occasionally to share from your business page to your personal, so you can get more of those people to go like your business page. You can also, I recommend doing quarterly, going through and inviting friends to to go follow your page. And there's a button you can push on Facebook to do that. And make that, personalize it, send them a note, invite them to come like it. So there's lots of things you can do for free to increase those follows, but that's who's going to see it. And that's why it's important to grow that following on your business page.
And posting on story versus a post. So, and you can have story on Instagram and post on Instagram, and same for Facebook.
Absolutely. Yep. So when you post a post, it goes into the feed, right? And that's kind of like what we're used to. That's what's always been around. Typically it's a video or a photo. If you post your story, those are little circles that run across the top. They're only there for 24 hours. You can add them on Instagram to your highlights, so they stay there in your highlights. But they are more, if you think of it, they're typically quick. They're more kind of behind the scenes, everyday, things that are happening. It can again be video, but you can add, graphics and fun moving parts and pieces and images. And so that's the main difference, is the feeds there, forever. Then it goes onto your profile. Stories go away. one of the reasons why stories are so effective right now is one, I think, again, they're more kind of just less polished, more behind the scenes. So they're more engaging and authentic, but also less people are using them. Even though they're picking up popularity, there's still less people using them. There's less competition than if you're posting into the feed. So people are more likely to see your stories. The other thing that's really nice about them is that when someone replies, or, you know, if you do a poll, just like we're doing here, and they participate, that goes into your private message. So now you are starting a private conversation with someone, which is really powerful and impactful to have them one-on-one versus a comment in the feed.
But my understanding was that stories do come back. So you are saying that 24 hours and they disappear from the site unless you saved them.
Into your highlights, correct.
Into your highlights. We do have, so it looks like everyone is staying with us. So let's just stay for a few more minutes. Very important question. And meanwhile, if you don't mind, Kate, there are some questions in Q&A. TikTok and what's going on with that, and also the Clubhouse. Just a few words.
Yep. So TikTok and Clubhouse both exploded during COVID. And it was kind of interesting to see like what was going to happen with them, because we hadn't really had big channels, you know, blow up like that for a while. So TikTok is continuing to grow. It's growing at a crazy rate. So if you are not creating short form videos, if you can create them for Instagram Reels, repurpose them on TikTok. I think that's a great way to do it, because I don't think they're going away anytime soon. It is a younger audience, so I think it again goes back to who you're trying to reach. And if you're not trying to reach a younger audience, maybe that's not for you. Clubhouse, I haven't seen, you know, those numbers it hasn't kept up with the pace of TikTok. But if you like Clubhouse and you have a podcast, you know, specifically, it's still a smaller channel. So it's an easier way to reach people because there's not as much competition as with Facebook. There's less accounts. But if I had to say between the two, TikTok is what I would recommend.
And you mentioned Reels. So let's talk about that. Do Reels get more noticed than regular video, or just photos?
Absolutely. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. If you haven't experienced it, if you're not on the Reel train yet, I would encourage you to make one and just see how the difference of engagement and reach and interactions based on just like a photo that you would post. If you look on Instagram, if you look on your feed, I don't know, I think it's for everybody, but for me, I know it's just reel after reel after reel. So yeah, that's what Instagram wants you to be using. And anytime they have a new, you know, a new feature, they want you to use it, they're going to reward you for using it, right? So that's why that's happening. Also, they just do tend to be very engaging, because again, it's video and it's short video. We have a short attention span. So there's a few reasons why they are so popular right now.
And we have a question. What the best app to use to make a reel?
I just use the Instagram app. Yeah, just using the Instagram app. I like InShot if I'm going to speed it up, but to just keep it super simple, you can just record right in the Instagram app and either edit it in there or save it as a draft and come back to it.
And how long should reel be?
So they can be up to 60 seconds. So it depends on the, you know, format. If you're getting started with Reels, my best advice for you is to go watch Reels, find some that you like, and then take and make them your own, right? So don't try to sit there and think of how am I going to do this? Find some that are inspirational and change out the message to yours, right? You can even take that audio clip and use it in yours. So just to get started, right? And then you can start doing your own thing, but don't overcomplicate it. And people are stealing Reels all the time. So that's why they're trending, because the same people are using the same thing over and over again.
And I have a question someone else asked me earlier. How often do you update your online profile and your headshot?
I would say at least once a year, you want to be reviewing it to make sure your headshot still looks like you, that your bio is still accurate, nothing has changed. Quarterly, you know, is even better, but I always recommend, like every year, typically in January, doing kind of an audit of all of your accounts. The other thing I would say is you want them to be similar, right? So if I go look you up on LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook, it should be the same photo or similar photo and the same bio. And maybe, you know, on Instagram, it's a shorter bio. On Facebook, you could have a few more characters, but it's essentially saying the same thing so that it's that consistency over and over again.
Okay, so if you don't mind, Kate, what kind of questions do we have under Q&A? And then I will look through some questions here.
Yeah, I think we've covered a bunch of these questions. Somebody was wondering about Reels. This is an interesting one. Is there a big difference in scheduling a post versus going live in terms of the effectiveness of the reach?
So on Facebook specifically, it's better to use their scheduler. Otherwise, it doesn't necessarily matter, except for I do think you don't want to set it and forget it, right? So if you're scheduling it, especially if you're scheduling out, a lot of times we post and then we kind of forget about it. And like I said, you have a very small window, depending on the platform, to really get a good organic, reach and engagement. So if you're starting to get some comments and you don't even have it on your mind that post went out, you're missing out on the opportunity. So definitely from that standpoint, if you can post it in real time and then be available to help, share it or, reply to comments, that is definitely going to be more effective. But oftentimes that's just not like possible for everybody. And so we are scheduling posts because we're busy. So I recommend, batching content, scheduling it out, but maybe in between is on that video that you took so much time to create that original, quality content. Maybe that's the one that you make sure that you post it in real time and then you're monitoring the comments.
And last, very important question, because we're going to tie it into our prize. And today we've been talking about the content throughout the whole session. It was coming up, doesn't matter what we talk about, Facebook, LinkedIn, or whatever. And it's the most frustrating part is to create that content. Everyone always says, where do I get it? Where do I get it and how I use it? And so can we just spend a couple more minutes on that? Because that's something that we are going to introduce at VHT Studios, and it's our new digital marketing program that will be introduced. And actually social media and the content, it's part of it. So please, your take on it.
Yeah, I know you guys are going to have a really great answer for a big piece of that to make it super easy. But, the question that you asked that I heard was, where do I find it? Where do I get it? And the way I would answer that is to say you create it. I mean, the best content is content that you're going to create. So coming up with that plan or that system of what you're going to post and how often you're going to post, and then creating it. And that doesn't mean you don't share, like we talked about earlier, occasionally, but content, whether that's a video or photos that, you have taken, that you're taking, and putting that out there, that's the best kind of content that you're going to have. So you need to come up with that plan and get those assets to have that best kind of content. And if that means posting less often, that's okay. But that's going to be the best type of content.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, dear. Well, listen, we went overtime and we still have our audience. So we're doing something right here. So thank you for staying with us, and thank you for your questions. Kate, can we have the last poll very quickly, because it was a really cool poll?
Yes. So we asked how often you update your online profiles. And it looks like the majority, 52%, is annually. And then after that, quarterly at 24%. And there's 18% just don't update them. So you gotta do that, folks. Every once in a while, it's good to keep it fresh.
Exactly. We all want to be recognized when we walk into a presentation, right? so update your profile.
Absolutely. So we do need to wrap it up. So we want to thank you, Tia. This was awesome. And I feel like we could have talked to you for another hour. And we are going to have some more.
It was very fun.
I know.
For having me.
We are going to have some more webinars with you next month, so people can look out for invites for those in certain markets. And then we do want to announce the winners of our 5 special prizes today. We're giving away Powerhouse Now packages, which is VHT Studios' new digital marketing packages. As we mentioned a little bit before, in that package, you get a listing website, a social media video and a flyer. And it's all created from your listing photos. So it makes marketing your listings super easy and fast. And it's really cool. You can really market the whole life cycle of your listing from, coming soon all the way to pending and sold. So we're excited to give those away and have people start using them and get feedback from you all.
And we are going to send out a recording to everybody, and we will put all the polls information together. We had some questions about the polls that someone from our audience wanted to see the results, so we will include everything. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel where all the recordings are. So if you go to youtube.com/Lucy Edwards VHT, you will be able to see all Lunch with Lucy's as well as all the interviews that were done in the last 2 years. So I invite you to do that. Thank you.
Yes. And be sure to come back next month. We have on May 18th, a return guest, Richard Lutkus, and he's our cybersecurity expert. He was with us last year around this time, and it was a super interesting session. He's going to talk about common cybersecurity threats, how to reduce your risk and avoid being a victim. So it's all really good, timely info to have. So don't miss that. And that is all, folks. That's all we have today.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And thank you, Tia. And thanks, Kate. Have a great day, everybody. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.